Colorado native, and I love the state of Colorado, and I'm glad to be playing for CU.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Colorado High School Football Signing Day show. I'm Tom Helmer, and over the next 30 minutes, we'll take a look at how Colorado State and Air Force did in the recruiting wars and where some of the biggest names in the state of Colorado are going to play. Joining me is former Colorado quarterback Joel Klatt. And Joel, for months, some of these guys have known where they wanted to go, but it's different today when you finally sign and commit to that one school.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, because finally you can take off that high school football shirt that you've been wearing for 4 years now. You can put on that Colorado shirt and hat, or Wyoming shirt and hat, Colorado State, represent that team that you're about to go and take part in their drills, and it's got to be exciting for a kid that age.
And some of you out there may be wondering, what is signing day? It's the first Wednesday in February. That's the day that athletes can sign from any sport a letter of intent to play at the school of their choice. Up until now, they could make a verbal commitment to a school or just keep the schools wooing them in suspense. One guy that ended the suspense at 10:50 this morning, Daryl Scott.
I'll play at the University of Colorado.
Daryl Scott, top running back in the nation, is coming to Colorado. His junior year, he played at Moore Park High School in California, rushed for 3,194 yards and 45 touchdowns. His parents moved him to St. Bonaventure his senior year, still cracked off 1,700 yards and 21 touchdowns. But Joel, this is a huge get for Dan Hawkins in Colorado.
There's no doubt about it. And Coach Hawkins told me last night that this is finally Colorado's chance to recruit on the national stage, bring in a guy that has the caliber to win, yes, Tom, I'm going to say it, a Heisman Trophy. This is that type of player. Woo. He's that type of guy. And I'm going to go back way back in the late 80s when Coach McCartney brought in Eric Bieniemy and Darian Hagan. It changed the landscape of Colorado football for all of history. They won a national championship. This is the type of guy that can do that for a Colorado team trying to get over the hump.
Yeah, he's got great speed, 4.4 in the 40, solid build, 205 pounds. So he's going to be someone to reckon with in the Big 12. So Scott is one of the nation's top players in the country coming into Colorado. But what about the top talent that was already here? Where are they going? Here's a look at the top 5 Colorado recruits as ranked by Rivals.com and where they are going. 3 of them are going to join Scott at Colorado. Bryce Givens, the offensive lineman from Mullen, John Major, the linebacker out of Ponderosa, and Curtis Cunningham, the big defensive tackle for Columbine, all headed to Boulder. Nolan Brewster, the only one of the top 5, headed out of state. But let's start by talking about the number 1 guy on that list, Bryce Givens, big offensive lineman, and this is a guy that's really going to help Colorado out offensively, especially Daryl Scott.
Yeah, there's no question, and the coaching staff and all the fan base is really happy to get Bryce, because at first he actually committed to Nebraska. When Coach Callahan got fired, he was able to then renege and come back and stay in state and go to Colorado. I'll tell you what I like most about Bryce Givens is his flexibility and athleticism. He plays the game low to the ground, which in today's high school game is very uncommon. He can play low and fast, and his strength and ability to get off the football is what CU likes most about him. He's going to have to put on some weight. He's going to have to get a little bit quicker, especially in a pass set, protecting the passer. But those are things that are going to come with age and come with being in the program. This is one of those types of guys you can hang your hat on if you're Dan Hawkins.
Yeah, he played in the U.S. Army Bowl, and he dominated as a lineman. So great get there for Colorado. John Major, the linebacker out of Ponderosa, was also heavily recruited. He made visits to Wisconsin and Oklahoma and received offers from Michigan, Northwestern, Oregon, and Tennessee. But he's staying home, going to be in Colorado, signed his letter of intent today to play at Colorado.
Yeah, John Major, he does a fantastic job running the field sideline to sideline. John Major is 230 pounds. 6'4". He's a big guy, but he can run. That's the one thing that college coaches and recruiters love most about John Major is his speed and ability to get the ball carrier down to the ground. He's got unbelievable ball instincts, causes turnovers. That's why he was one of the top-rated recruits coming out of this state. Glad he's staying in state. He's going to do wonders for the defense at CU, who's losing Jordan Dizon. He's the type of guy that maybe could step in right away or a year from now and really contribute to the defense.
Yeah, Jordan Dizon, NFL bound. One thing Major has to start learning to deal with is the media. No better time than now. Our own Mark Stout is with the Ponderosa standout and has more.
All right, guys. John, you had your choice of, what, 50-some schools?
Right around there, yeah.
But you picked CU early on. Was that because it was overwhelming, the signing process, or did you just feel comfortable right?
Definitely all spelled out. I'm very excited, and this is where I want to be.
I'm sure you've heard that there's a lot of Colorado kids going up there, including yourself. And that played a part of your decision. What about Givens going and Cunningham and other guys? Have you talked to them as well?
Definitely a lot, kind of establishing a relationship, getting the team built early on, and that's very important.
How about Daryl Scott, son? You got that news. What do you think of that?
That's awesome. I think that will give us a lot of recognition around the country. Shows that we mean business.
So, John, today's the day that you finally become a Buff. How do you just overall feel?
I feel great. Glad it's all over, and couldn't be happier.
Well, he put pen to paper today, as you guys saw. Tom, back to you.
All right, thank you, Mark. Here's a look at the guys ranked 6 through 10 on Rivals.com from Colorado and where they have decided to go. The Buffs pick off 2 more guys from this list. Let's talk about defensive back Patrick Mankey. This is a guy that is a strong defensive back, and once again, another strong addition for Colorado and the defensive secondary.
Yeah, and because they lost Nolan Brewster to Texas, they really had to keep Patrick Mankey in state because he's the same type of player. He's a guy that if he puts on 15 or 20 pounds, might move to that outside linebacker position. He's great at the line of scrimmage, especially in run defense. He's going to have to work on his speed and cover ability in the secondary in order to cover Big 12 wide receivers if he does stay at the safety position. But like I said, if he puts on some weight, he can move down and be a very effective outside linebacker for the Buffs.
I tell you, one guy that has to be grinning from ear to ear today is CU head coach Dan Hawkins. He picked up the top running back of the nation, 5 of the top 10 players in the state. Our own Alana Rizzo is with the coach and joins us now from Boulder.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. All right, Coach Hawkins, you have got to be extremely pleased. All smiles going on today for the Colorado football team.
Pretty fired up. Yeah, great kids, great players. A lot of kids from Colorado, a lot of kids from championship teams, a lot of scholar athletes, a lot of captains. I think it's a good mix of what it is we're trying to put together here.
You mentioned a lot of kids from Colorado. You land the #1 running back in the nation in Daryl Scott. 5 of the top 10 kids from Colorado are coming here. In your opinion, what has changed in the last few years to make Colorado a contender once again?
Well, I think, again, it's a lot of just the direction of the university. I think everybody in the state feels that. I think, Hank Brown's done an awesome job getting our university back going. Bud Peterson's been awesome. Mike's been awesome. I think just the whole re-engagement of our institution into the entire state. And then, kids are starting to see the indoor and the locker room and the training table, and they're starting to see some progress, and they're starting to see some things that are important for them as a student athlete that says, yeah, I see that they're serious about it and they want to do it.
When you first came to Colorado, you said in-state recruiting was very important to you. You get 3 right off the top of my head that I can think of, and the Bryce Givens, the Curtis Cunninghams, those types of kids, the John Majors of the world. How important was it for you to be able to keep the kids that are right in Colorado's backyard in Colorado?
Well, again, the thing that I like about it is I love the kids. I just love them as people, and great families, good programs, and our kind of guys, and they're great players. But again, I think there was a sort of a natural attraction to what we're doing, and it's not in a false way. I'm not telling we are who we are, and here's what we're about. And if you're into that's great. So to me, that's the exciting part. Is I think about being around, John Major and Bryce and Curtis and Patrick and those guys. That's an awesome thing, being around those guys every day.
And finally, last question for you, Coach. Daryl Scott waited until pretty much the last minute to let the world know if he was going to be a Buff or a Longhorn. What is it about that kid that he brings to your program?
Well, one, he's a very positive guy. I mean, he'll be a guy when he gets up here, you guys will like him because he's got a smile on his face. He's got a lot of energy. He's not a big ego guy. I thought he did himself a huge service today when they asked him about starting. He said, hey, I'm going to come up there and work hard, and I've got to prove myself, and I'm going to compete, and, we'll see. But he is a good kid. His mom's awesome, great values, all that stuff. And then he's got the physical stuff, too. I mean, he's a big, strong, fast guy, very talented player. But again, we've all seen those guys come and go. But the guys that usually make it are the guys that have the intangibles, and he's very much like that.
All right, thank you, Alana. The signing of Daryl Scott moves the Buff recruiting class from 26th in the nation to 15th and ranks the team 3rd in the Big 12. Oklahoma landed 3 5-star athletes in Jeremy Calhoun, Stephen Good, and R.J. Washington. But as far as your alma mater is concerned, Joel, this was a great recruiting job. Maybe one of the best they've had in a long time, and this is going to show benefits down the line for Colorado.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. When you're competing in the Big 12, there's only 2 schools that you're really recruiting against on the national stage. That's Oklahoma and Texas. CU implanted themselves right in that category this year. I thought that they did a phenomenal job.
All right. Welcome back. We now know who's going to Colorado and Colorado State. Time now to talk about the impact these players might have. Joining us now is Adam Munster-Tiger, a publisher of Rivals.com. And Adam, first of all, let's talk about Colorado and the signing of Darryl Scott. Obviously, this was a huge signing. Is this a guy that's going to impact the program immediately?
Yeah, coming into this recruiting cycle, running back was one of their biggest needs. Obviously, with Hugh Charles graduating, they need an impact guy to come in at that position. He took that with Darryl Scott signing with CU. It took CU's class from probably a borderline top 25 class to being right there around the 15th mark in terms of team rankings. You could be a casual college football fan and you watch video of Darryl Scott and you can't help but be wowed by his abilities. He's really the type of back that does it all. A lot of people have compared him to Adrian Peterson, obviously. That's a huge comparison, but he's that type of all-around back that Colorado's obviously expecting to come in and make an impact right away.
And Adam, how impressed were you with Colorado's ability to recruit within the state?
Very, very impressed. They actually got the top 2 ranked in-state prospects this year, and that's something that in the past Colorado had struggled to do, was keep the top kids close to home. A lot of times they would end up going to a USC or a Texas, and the top 2 kids that they did get in state this year, those were kids with scholarship offers from all those prestigious programs. Bryce Givens is about 6'6", about 245 pounds, so he's probably going to have to come in redshirt and spend a year in that weight room just to be able to compete at the Big 12 level, but he's a tremendous talent. He went out to the U.S. Army All-American Bowl in San Antonio in early January, did really well, actually broke his hand in preparation, came back, showed some toughness by playing in that game. John Major is the other top in-state recruit that they were able to sign. He's from Ponderosa High School. He had over 150 tackles as a senior, has great closing line speed. Linebacker was a big need for them this cycle, so he was a huge get for Dan Hawkins.